Let's try and understand how this ceasefire will work and what's the latest on ground, and will Israel's operations against Hamas continue in general. Rami Sambal is the organizer of the Nova Music Festival, joins me on the broadcast. Also with me is Colonel Peter Lerner of the IDF, a spokesperson of the IDF. And I want to begin by asking you, Colonel Lerner, what's the situation on ground right now? When does the ceasefire come into effect, or will your operations against Hamas continue, sir?
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed, we are continuing our efforts against Hamas, against their operations on the ground, against their terrorists, wherever they are hiding. The efforts to seek out, hunt them down, and pursue them are ongoing. This is a terrorist organization, and I was listening to the report beforehand, and we have similar challenges. This is a terrorist organization that has no problem hiding beneath and in the midst of the civilian arena, and that is why we're continuing our operation. When the pause in our operations takes place, it will take place in accordance to the government's instructions. We will, of course, abide by those instructions as a professional military, but we will be setting up our defensive capabilities, defensive positions, defensive posture, in order to be prepared for any oncoming attacks that Hamas could conduct during that operational pause. The reality on the ground continues today to be a challenging one, but we are engaging the enemy and dismantling and destroying Hamas, because everybody and every decent human being understands that this terrorist organization cannot ever wield the power of government ever again. The reality that 200 and...
You want to ensure that Hamas does not remain as a ruling entity in the Gaza Strip. But when this pause comes into effect, Hamas says there will be free movement of people from north to south. Will that be okay with the IDF? Because the IDF, the Israeli government statement seems to indicate, or impression is, that there will be no free movement of people north to south.
As far as I know, north to south is indeed encouraged. It has been for the last over a month now, from going north to south. I think that is a good advice. I'm not aware of any restrictions from going north to south whatsoever. That is beneficial for people that want to evacuate, precisely because...
What if they want to come back to the
war
north?
Effort,
what if they want to come back to Gaza City?
I think it's important. The operations are going to continue. Our war effort is not over. This is a pause, not a ceasefire, not the end of the war. Hamas are continuing to hold today 236, and if they give and release the 50 people that they're talking about, there will still be 189 people. We are in for all of them. One of our war effort goals is indeed to release and rescue all of the hostages. Hamas would not be releasing hostages, or they would not even be entertaining the idea of releasing hostages if we were not pursuing them, hunting them down, and destroying their capabilities. This is the reality, and that is why we will continue our operations in the north as we have been throughout the day today. And we will, when the operational pause comes into play, when the instruction comes down to hold our fire, we will hold our fire.
Fair enough. Rami Sambal, your first thoughts about this possible pause, if not a ceasefire, and the release of at least 50 women and children. And several of those women were sadly abducted from the Nova Music Festival site at Reem. You organized that festival, sir.
Good evening. First of all, let me be clear about something. I think as much as it's difficult to decide
go on, sir.
This kind of act during the war, that our soldiers fighting Hamas organization in Gaza, and to let them organize again themselves to bring back our kidnapped. It's the right decision, as it hard as it should be, but is the right decision for our people. The world should know that Hamas organization the only main cause of this organization is to butcher, to kill, to
Yes.
kidnap, to rape. And that's what it did. That's what it done in October 7.
Yes.
And now we have the opportunity to bring back at least 50 hostages. That's all of them are children and women.
Absolutely. Colonel Lerner, how does the hostage exchange take place? So how do you get back your hostages? And is the IDF on the same page on releasing 150 Palestinian prisoners who are in Israeli prisons?
The reality on the ground is one where obviously I can't go into detail about how the operation will take place. Indeed, it is a very delicate and sensitive activity, and there are many on the Palestinian side and Hamas that perhaps will not be happy with releasing Israeli hostages to Israel. So I am being very cautious and sensitive around this issue. I think what is more important is understanding the enemy that we face, an enemy that cannot be trusted, an enemy that we need to take very, very cautiously. Anything that they are saying, we will implement our instructions as received from the government, but we will indeed be very prepared for hostilities that Hamas could endure. This is a hateful organization that have no regard for human life, Israeli or Palestinian, and that is why we are seeing exactly the situation unravel. We are interested in bringing them home. It is a moral obligation. It is a professional obligation. This is just one step in order to bringing more Israelis home, those that were abducted on the brutal massacre on October 7th.
Colonel Lerner, what does a ceasefire or a pause translate into action on ground? As is, wherever your forces are? And does that also mean no drones fly over South Gaza? And in your appreciation, does that give Hamas an opportunity to regroup and strike again? You'll be sending food, fuel, and other resources into the Gaza Strip, I believe?
The operational pause is twofold. First of all, the IDF will be taking up defensive positions, utilizing defensive capabilities, and preventing any attacks against our forces. That is, the force protection is a top priority. The second component of the pause, of the operational pause, is to increase the already flow of humanitarian supplies, whether it's food supplies, medical supplies, shelter, water activities. All of these need to come in and need to be able to flow into southern Gaza Strip. That is the second component of the operation. It is indeed a challenging one. Of course, Hamas, as I said, can't be trusted. In 2014, in the last major war with Hamas, they exploited a ceasefire, exploited the humanitarian ceasefires every single time and attacked our forces on the ground.
Okay.
So we will have to see, but we will have to be prepared for that.
Hamas has also said no military personnel abducted will be released. No soldier will be released. So what are options to get back your brothers in arms who may be in Hamas custody or in the custody of other terrorist organizations there?
Our operations are focused on two issues: dismantling and destructing Hamas as a governing authority that has utilized the powers of government to attack Israel, to conduct a strategic strike against Israel's soft underbelly with the abduction and killing and murdering of over 1,300 people. And of course, the second component is bringing those people home, all of those people, every single one. So we are utilizing everything that we have at hand, operational and intelligence capabilities, in order to bring those home. And it works hand in hand with the diplomatic efforts that I hope we will see some of those results tomorrow.
Gentlemen, I have a big story that's coming in, and I've run out of time on this part of the show, but I want our viewers to know that the head of Mossad is currently in Qatar. That's the news that's coming in. Mossad chief is in Qatar and will be given a list of Israelis and other hostages in Hamas custody. And based on this list, every day some people will be returned. That's the information that's coming in. 10 to 12 people will be returned each day if the ceasefire holds.